Hey, Jason here from Simply Swider. If your Samsung washer is showing a 4E or 4C error code and won't fill with water, you're in the right place. I'm going to walk you through 6 proven fixes that solve this problem 95% of the time, and most take under 5 minutes to check. We're talking about saving yourself $200 to $400 in service call fees with fixes that cost less than 20 bucks. Before we get started, if you run into any questions, jump into our Facebook group. Links in the description. We've got thousands of people helping each other fix their appliances, and I pop in there daily to help out. So, the most common culprit is something with your external water supply, kinked hoses, closed taps, that kind of thing. You'll see that 4E code pop up, and when you start a cycle, barely any water comes in or it fills really slowly. Here's your 30-second check. First, make sure both water taps behind your washer are fully open, and I mean completely cranked open. You'd be amazed how often this simple step solves the problem. I've been called out countless times just to turn a tap handle that was only 3/4 open. Then you're going to pull that washer away from the wall so you can see the back. Look at those supply hoses. If they're kinked, bent, or twisted up, that's your problem right there. Water pressure needs to be between about 7 and 115 psi, and any restriction in those hoses is going to mess with that flow rate. If the hose is damaged, you'll need to replace it, but if it's just kinked, straighten it out and you're good to go. These little mesh screens inside your water inlets get clogged up with sediment and debris over time, and man, they can really restrict water flow. When this happens, your washer struggles to fill and throws that 4E code. This fix takes about 10 minutes, and you'll need needle nose pliers and a towel. Safety first. Turn off both water supply valves completely, then disconnect the inlet hoses from the back of your washer. Keep that towel handy because you'll get about a cup of water spillage when you disconnect these hoses. Now use your needle nose pliers to gently pull out those mesh filters from inside the water inlet ports. They're about the size of a quarter. If they're all gunked up with sediment or rust, that's your problem. Rinse them under hot running water until they're clean, pop them back in, and reconnect everything. Make sure those connections are tight so you don't get leaks. I tell people to clean these things at least twice a year. It's way easier than dealing with this error code. Now, here is where it gets a bit more interesting. Sometimes your washer fills with water just fine, but then after about 3 minutes, boom, 4E error, and it stops. This is what I call a false 4E because the machine's getting water but can't detect it. Usually it's that little pressure hose inside the machine that's either got a hole in it or has popped off its connection. You're going to need to remove the back panel to get at this. Make sure you unplug the machine first. Look for a thin hose running from the bottom of the tub up to the pressure switch. I've seen these things chafe against other parts and develop pinholes, or they just vibrate loose over time. If it's popped off, clip it back on and tighten that clamp. If there's a hole, you can temporarily fix it with some clear vinyl tubing from the hardware store for about 3 bucks, or get the proper Samsung replacement hose for around 20 to $50. When the solenoids inside your water inlet valve go bad, you're going to get inconsistent water flow or no water at all. Sometimes you'll hear clicking sounds when the machine tries to fill. To test this, you'll need to remove the top panel, usually just 2 screws at the back. Once you can access the valve connections, start with the simplest fix: disconnect and firmly reconnect the wire harness. Loose connections cause about 30% of these valve problems. If that doesn't work, grab your multimeter and test the resistance on those valve coils. You should see between 500 and 1500 ohms. If you get a reading outside that range or all on your meter, the valve's shot. Here's the tricky part. These valves can test good with your multimeter, but still fail if the control board isn't sending the required 120 volts. Testing live voltage requires working around electrical components while the machine is plugged in. If you're not comfortable with electrical work, this is where I'd recommend calling a professional. This one's pretty straightforward but catches people off guard. If your hot and cold supply lines are hooked up backwards, the machine can get confused about water temperature and throw error codes. You might also get a 4E if your detergent dispenser drawer is clogged up with old soap buildup. Check that your cold water hose goes to the inlet marked C or blue and hot goes to H or red. For the dispenser, just pull that drawer out and look for any blockages or crusty detergent that might be preventing proper water flow. Clean it out, pop it back in, and you should be good to go. The control board failure is the least common cause, but when it happens, it's a pain. Basically, the main PCB stops sending that 120-volt signal to the water inlet valves. If you've checked everything else and the valves test good, you can do a live voltage test on the valve harness while the machine's trying to fill. If you're not seeing 120 volts there, the control board's the culprit. This is definitely more of an advanced repair, and honestly, with control board prices running anywhere from about 200 to 450 bucks, you might want to think about whether it's worth fixing versus replacing the whole machine. Let's break down what that 4E error code actually means. You might also see it displayed as 4C, 14C, or E1 on older Samsung models, but they all indicate the same thing. Your washer can't fill with water properly. Either it's not filling fast enough or the machine thinks it's not getting water when it actually is. I'm going to walk you through the 6 most common causes, starting with the super simple stuff you can check in 30 seconds, then working our way up to the more involved fixes. Most of the time, it's going to be one of those first couple problems. External supply hoses run $2100 depending on quality, and they're perfect for beginners. Pro tip: bring your old hose to the hardware store to ensure you get the right connectors. There are several different types. The main thing is checking for kinks and damage before you assume you need new ones. Most hardware stores carry these, and they're pretty standard across most washer brands. The mesh filters themselves are usually free to clean, but if you need replacement filter covers or strainers, they run about 5 to 50 bucks. This is absolutely worth doing yourself, just takes a pair of pliers and some running water. I recommend cleaning these every 6 months or so to prevent future problems, way cheaper than dealing with repeated 4E errors. This is where you can really save some money. The cheap fix is grabbing some clear vinyl tubing from any hardware store for about $3 and cutting it to length. If you want the official Samsung part, you're looking at anywhere from about $20 to $50 depending on your model. This is a moderate DIY repair. You'll need to remove some panels, but it's not too complicated if you're handy with basic tools. Inlet valves typically run between about $18 and $200 depending on your specific model. This is definitely worth fixing if your machine is relatively new, way cheaper than buying a new washer. It's a moderate skill level repair, so if you're comfortable with basic appliance work, go for it. Just make sure you get the right part number for your model. Control boards are the expensive fix. Expect $190 to $440 depending on your model. Here's my rule of thumb: if your washer is under 5 years old, the repair is usually worth it. If it's over 8 years old and needs a $400 control board, you're probably better off applying that money toward a new machine. For washers between 5 to 8 years, consider the total repair history before deciding. Now, you can see right there on your screen some of the most common Samsung models that run into these 4E and 4C errors. Take a look and see if you spot your model up there. Don't worry about memorizing all those numbers, just see if yours is in the list. These particular models seem to have issues with everything from inlet valves to pressure hoses, so the troubleshooting steps we just went through should definitely help you out. That's how you tackle the Samsung 4E and 4C water supply errors. Start with the simple stuff. Check your water taps and hoses for kinks. Then move on to those inlet filters, the pressure hose inside, and work your way up from there. Most of the time, it's going to be one of those first few things we covered. Remember, a $3 piece of tubing can fix what might seem like a major problem, so don't panic when you see that error code. If you guys know someone who's having appliance troubles, please send them the link to this video or a link to my channel where I have tons of other videos showing how to fix pretty common issues with appliances, sometimes for free or as little cost as possible. It sure beats having a repairman come out and spending several hundred for them to fix it when it could be something so simple. Did one of these fixes work for you? Drop a comment below telling me which step solved your 4E error. Was it the simple tap check, those clogged inlet filters, or something else? Include your washer model too, because your success story could save the next person hours of troubleshooting. And if I helped you avoid a service call, smash that like button to help YouTube show this video to more people. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. We'll get this out to more folks who need to save some time and money. Thanks for watching, and I hope you guys have a great day.